We cannot amend a constitution because of an individual who is in power. It is the individual in power to realize what are his limitations. And within those limitations, therefore, he gives us his vision. There is something that runs through any appointee that President Ruto has appointed, except for 1 or 2 cases. You have to have a scandal. You have to have a case in court for you to qualify to be appointed.
That is the yardstick?
That's the yardstick, because he himself believes in scandals, because he does not believe that you can plant your maize, harvest, and get rich. Well, he wants to be a master of everything, including things he does not understand. That's my worry. And I'm saying, going forward, we'll be getting statistics that are cooked up at State House.
Ladies and gentlemen, from whatever part of the globe you are watching us from, this is Richard Mwenja Exclusive, your go-to point on matters political and governance analysis here in Kenya and across the region. I'm Richard Mwenja, such a distinct privilege to have your company with us on a day that we're going to discuss a raft of issues in the world of politics and governance. But first things first, allow me introduce to your screen the gentleman, the think tank firebrand himself, is going to help me bring the day's conversation home. Is none other than the proud son of Cherangani constituency, former Minister Kipruto Arap Kirwa.
Yeah.
Today you are doing a fast. It's been a while since we saw you in a blazer. We are used to your trademark Kaunda suits.
Oh yeah, Kaunda suits. And you know, at times people forget Kaunda suits. They start associating with people who have just depicted the other day. People like myself and a number of other guys working. Honorable Richard Onyonka, even his own father, Dr. Sakaja Onyonka, he used to like Kaunda suit at some stage. Yeah, and of course, you know, Kaunda suit originates from Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, the first president of Zambia. And of course, Nyerere had his own style, but Nyerere did not have a collar. That's what, but that did not pick a lot of popularity. The one that picked popularity, especially here in Kenya, is Kaunda suit. To the extent that Mwalimu Nyerere was telling Kaunda, Kenyans are doing a lot of business out of your Kaunda. They should be paying you royalty. He was saying it, of course, in jest. Yeah.
How about we kickstart our conversation from matters to do with Haiti? We've seen now we have a former prime minister, the gentleman who was here in the country the other time, very close ally of President Ruto, Gary Conile, was fired from office. And also in the United States of America, we've seen a 47th presidency of Donald Trump. He's going to be the 47th president of America. America has a say, especially when it comes to security interventions worldwide, and more particularly on Haiti, because we saw Kenya get into the Haiti mission during Biden's presidency. Now we have Trump coming on board. And now also Haiti has fired its prime minister, Gary Conile. How do you think this is going to play out when it comes to the fate of that mission?
Well, there are a number of things that one should be cognizant of. In terms of the international relations, certain things that have been agreed upon by the various institutions are kept and respected. Secondly, the template of the American foreign policy is more or less the same, and it is likely to vary depending on how the holder of the office looks at certain missions. I know the main challenge about Haiti is the character of Trump himself. While Republicans and Democrats, they treat foreign relations in certain aspects because it is what is in it for Americans, because that's the first principle of diplomacy. But then there is a challenge that Trump himself may not believe in that mission. Number two, Trump has been of the opinion that America is spending a lot more resources to take care of issues abroad. Realize even the Ukraine-Russian war, he does not fully approve of it, and his thinking is he should bring that war to an end. Israeli arm has challenges. He also thinks that he should bring that to the end. So the Haiti mission may get a jolt in the sense that Trump may say, this is not a very useful mission, and therefore America is not going to fund. And you know, such a mission is very expensive on our taxpayers, and our government cannot afford to fund without the assistance of external support.
But this far, did you applaud our president for sort of coming out as a good Samaritan in the picture? Look, out of many presidents around even Africa, he's been the biggest cheerleader of the need for peace in Haiti. Do you laud him for that?
Well, there are a number of issues, and it is always good to be clear. President Ruto will always do something when there is some kind of feedback for himself. It is in his interest to know that if this mission does not give him anything tangible, it's not about our national security, and it is not about us being Samaritans, because we are risking in a mission that has never succeeded. I remember being on this screen saying that all IT missions have failed from the early 20s. Any mission that has gone to Haiti is bound to fail. Why? The interest of the international community is not in the people of Haiti. The interest of the international community is that what can we benefit from Haiti, both in terms of resources and other considerations. And that's why it never succeeds, because nobody takes into consideration the interests of the Haitian people. That's why even our missions in Haiti is receiving negative feeling on the ground as of now. And therefore, with lack of resources, that mission is likely to fail.
So from your optics, you don't feel that the fire in the belly of President Ruto is the need for him to show humanity in its purest form by literally extending a hand to Haiti?
Well, you like talking of Damascus moment. Unless he has gotten into that moment that now, all of a sudden, he's become a patriotic Kenyan. Otherwise, I know it is business as usual, either to raise his own profile or to create a situation where there is some conduit to get some few dollars here and there. Yeah.
You've now talked much more about currency, what is in it for our leaders in every engagement outside here.
Yeah.
Let's transition and talk a bit about our economic state as a country, state of the economy. We have seen the president and also his second in command, Professor Kithure Kindiki, come forth and saying we are witnessing inflation at the lowest in the last 17 years. They have cited a number of indicators, the reduction in price of, the pump prices reduction, albeit by a small margin, the appreciation of the shilling against the US dollars, and now they are saying that even those at the bottom part of the strata in Kenya are feeling the relief. But sir, I've engaged a few people out here on the ground level. They feel that there's a disconnect between what the government is saying on the cost of living and what is there in the numbers. What is your view of all that?
Well, I do not have the capacity of an economist, but the basic economics that I know is that certain things must translate into the cost of household items, such as food, such as electricity, such as basic transport from current to city center and so forth. All those parameters are not witnessed at the ground. Number two, as a basic farmer dealing with maize in Kitale, the price of maize as of now is so low that if you are to do serious calculations, you are not able to get back to the farm next year, despite the so-called subsidized fertilizer, despite the fact that now the government is offering a paltry 1 million bags to be purchased by National Cereals and Produce Board at the price of 3,500. That price is not translating into the farm gate price for the ordinary farmer in Mossbridge, in Kitale, or in Nandi, or in Bungoma, or in Likuyani, Kakamega County. And if those parameters are not right, I don't know where they are getting all these figures. Number two, when you say the price of fuel at the pump price of fuel has dropped by a certain percentage, I think 6%, dropping from where? Let's benchmark when President Uhuru Kenyatta left this country, how much was the fuel? We've not gone back to that as of now. How much was the exchange rate of $1 to Kenya shilling? We have not gone back to that level. So all these are parameters they are telling us, yes, Inflation was 9%. Now, this 2.7% they are telling us is artificial low inflation because they are forcing prices of foods to come down by depressing the price of a commodity like maize, which is crop number 1 in Kenya. And the others, they are not even allowing us to export. There is maize in Uganda now is more expensive than maize in Kenya. So if you are to export to Uganda, that will stabilize the price. So they're creating artificial, what we call glut, for purposes of managing the Ruto economics.
Waziri, do you mean a government can stoop that low to prop inflation, just so to send a certain message?
Don't you realize that one has to be careful about Ruto? He can tell you next year that we have a positive budget, we are funding our own budget, just because you'll be going towards the next election.
Are you afraid of Rutonomics?
I'm not only afraid, but I'm totally scared of a possibility of us reading figures that do not add up, like what they are showing us now.
The justification from the government is that this far we are seeing a relief when it comes to the cost of living. But even then they have attached a rider to it that just, I mean, Safari ya Bamba ni Machero, we are just starting that journey. Gachagua was somewhat the problem, the stumbling block to the government realizing its vision. But we now have a capable tour IC is going to help the president deliver the vision to term. Are you going to buy that argument?
Well, there is no time Ruto has never blamed a problem that is at this door on other people. Remember, and with the risk of repeating myself, he was blaming it in 441 against 1 in 2007. That was the rallying call to isolate the Kikuyu community from the rest of the country. And immediately after that, he blamed the 4,000 young men who disappeared from the Kalenjin land on Raila because he wanted to part with Raila. 2013, it was referendum against the Hague. Immediately after 2017 election, now he was blaming Uhuru as part of the dynasty. That is how he created the hustler nation narrative to make sure that Uhuru looked so bad, and yet they were together with Uhuru. And even back, immediately after 2002 elections where Kanu lost, he started blaming it on Moi and made Moi look bad. And that's why Moi never saw him, and they never greeted him until his death, or Moi's death. So Ruto will always blame it on somebody. Now he's blaming it on Gachagua. What could Gachagua have done to merit that kind of blame? Please, knowing that Ruto is a micromanager, there is no cabinet meeting Gachagua would have a voice at variance with that of the president.
So then does he perfectly exemplify the case of success having many fathers but failure being an orphan?
Well, you can say that again, and know that is somebody who never wants to admit failure. And that is lack of leadership integrity in him. Because in leadership, you must accept. When you fail, you say, I'm sorry, I was wrong, you are right, but can we redo the game again? And we see how it goes. Otherwise, for him, he believes that he knows everything, even in areas where he has not schooled.
It's not a master of those trades that he wants us to believe.
Well, he wants to be a master of everything, including things he does not understand. That's my worry. And I'm saying, going forward, we'll be getting statistics that are cooked up at State House.
With the approval of the National Treasury in place?
Well, National Treasury, unless they've got an external eye. National Treasury. Who is the National Treasury? Those are appointees of the president.
Expatriates who are loaned from the opposition, like John Buddy.
Well, expatriates, by any other name, they have to know who is calling the tune.
You seem to be still believing that the president is largely being advised based on Bartok, because that's what you said of his Council of Advisors on the last show.
Well, if it's not about Bartok, he is being advised by people who are theoretical economists. Somebody who is well-heeled in economics, like the late President Mike Kibaki, will talk about things as they are and be able to read the parameters and the factors that conspire to make economic growth positive or negative. But for him, They bring some, they just burn some words and create a situation where they want us to believe as if we do not understand the economic trend of the country. Yeah.
Let's advance that conversation. The recent development from Kotu SG Francis Otoli is that he believes the biggest impediment to the president realizing his agenda for Kenya has been our courts and the gaps in our constitutions. So he's urging the president to consider constitutional amendments just so to ensure that his vision comes to the full term. What do you make of the call from Atwoli for us to consider going back and amending our constitution just so to make sure the president realizes his agenda? Because this is why he's arguing the housing levy is up, the court order is on the table the next minute. And on many other projects, there are Danis and any other endeavors from the government of the day. Do you read an iota of wisdom from Atwoli's call?
Well, Atwoli is a man of convenience. When it's convenient, he tells people in Sugoi to cut all the trees because when Ruto loses the election, he's likely to commit suicide by hanging himself. Now that Ruto is in town, he has to be a sycophant of another level.
A sycophant?
Yeah, a sycophant, because you see, you cannot amend a constitution to accommodate the vision of a person. A constitution is supposed to be the total framework within which we ought to operate our visions, our aspirations, our frustrations, without necessarily overreaching ourselves. This therefore means that Atwoli either wants to please Ruto for certain conveniences, or he has lost the capacity to focus on things that make sense. We cannot amend a constitution because of an individual who is in power. It is the individual in power to realize what are his limitations. And within those limitations, therefore, he gives us his vision.
On his call for constitutional amendments, you seem not to be crediting it with deeper thinking. But let's now look at his other call. That is, anyone who's going to be leaking government secrets ought to be arrested henceforth. What do you make of that?
That's also going ultra-vires the constitution. You have no power to say who is leaking government secrets.
Because the blame was taken on Gachagua immediately after the Gen Z protest. That Gachagua has set the precedence for people to be leaking government secrets, which should not be there.
They did really have any information about those government secrets. For me, I don't know which are these government secrets that Gachagua was leaking. And Atwoli really should not over-engage himself on issues he does not understand. He has never been a minister. He has never been in cabinet. He should tell us about court. We'll listen to him. But telling us about government, and he's not even a governance expert, unless he went to another school, not the schools that we've gone.
His concern is that we are overreaching ourselves when it comes to undressing our king. That even when the president is wrong, we are doing it the wrong way. There's a way we can call him to order, but not by leaking government secrets or parading his failures. The thing is granting him the grace of time.
Well, I do not ascribe to anybody leaking government secrets. But you see, at times you have to be there to know which are the secrets that were leaked out. Otherwise, today, I can talk about government operations without being seen that I'm leaking any secrets because I'm not party to those secrets. I've not taken an oath to protect the secrets of the current regime. And therefore, Atwoli is talking about things he does not understand. Perhaps age is catching up, or perhaps he himself is overreacting to situations he does not understand.
You seem to be signaling that maybe he has reached his internal limits.
Well, Kenyan Manyora said, when you reach your internal limit, you must assess yourself. I don't know whether Atwoli has assessed himself to realize that things change, and the more you think they are not changing, they are changing faster than you thought. So I sympathize with him, but that's the only thing I can say. Yeah.
When you see opposition figures like Member of Parliament Peter Kaluma ask Kenyans to grant the president the grace of time to realize his agenda for Kenya, do you credit that to persons out here underrating the public mood, the place of social and public intelligence in informing even what comes from their sentiments?
What I've come to a logical conclusion is that politicians in Kenya do not believe in democracy. They talk democracy when it is convenient. But they themselves are not democrats of any shade. They don't have an iota of democratic space, because democratic space, you must tell somebody as is, even somebody that you support. And the democracy also means if somebody is right, you must give him a grace of time. But I do not know which grace of time Kaluma seems to be seeing in William Ruto's projects. When we see all those projects that he's talking about are likely to be failures, which will be reversed by the next regime.
So then again, to what do you owe this U-turn from Peter Kaluma? Did you foresee a time when he would be the biggest cheerleader of President Ruto?
Well, just like Raila, just like Ruto, Raila does not believe in democracy. And he holds these people with certain vice grip in terms of giving them room to maneuver. And therefore, Kaluma may be looking for the ticket for the next election as the MP of the place that he represents today. And he has to please Raila, because Raila is in bed with President Ruto. So I do not associate that with any serious thinking. The way I see it is that they are just playing to the gallery and pleasing the master by massaging his ego.
There seems to be an orchestra from a section of the opposition. And I want to understand, when you see people like Kaluma and a few others, Junet Mohammed, praise the government of the day and literally calling for us to grant them the grace of time, who do you think is the call of the tune on this new president worship team?
Well, I think what has come to pass is that we are incarnating the PNU ODM situation of 2007. Look at the players in ODM, look at the players in UDA, and look at the players in ODM 2007. It seems the same teams that they got scattered for convenient reasons, now they are coming back to the original alliance of 2007, which I call Western Alliance. Because UDA and ODM basically is about Nyanza, Western, and Rift Valley, which is the ODM of 2007, and perhaps some portions of Coast. And today, the PNU that of 2007 is perhaps the wing that is not with that team. The only thing that I can see is going to be additional is the presence of Kalonzo in this other wing. And if Kalonzo had stuck with Kibaki from the beginning, Kibaki would have won that election without any challenge. Therefore, anybody who wants to play politics and who wants to analyze his politics, if we stick together, the team of Kalonzo, Eugene, Karua, Rigathi, and the rest of us, that's the next government. Yeah.
Two more concerns to be addressed before we cross over to Heroes Corner segment. And I want to get your view on the revelations from Belgut Member of Parliament Nelson Koech regarding matters to do with our economy. And he had this to say, that on the feeling that the government is overtaxing Kenyans, those of us who are privileged to be employed must carry the rest of the nation with us. It sounds punitive, but then the question should be, where will the government generate its revenue from? I want to understand, you are a seasoned political policy analyst. Is taxation the only source of revenue for the government of the day? And what do you make of Nelson Koech's sentiments that those who are privileged to have employment should carry the burden on behalf of other Kenyans who are not employed?
Well, the Honorable Koech misses a number of things. This economy is an economy that is very fragile. Fragile in the sense that we are relying on the agriculture sector as our source of revenue. We are relying on the employed as our source of revenue. And we have very little taxes to gain from the industry. Compare with a country like South Africa, where 60% of their taxes come from the industry. That means those taxes are stable, they are sustainable, because they are a product of industrial activity. As when you are dealing with the fragile economy of individuals who have jobs, today, if you're earning 50,000 and you go through all this taxation, you will take home 18,000. By the rule of the thumb, if you are being taxed on sheaf, you are being taxed on issues like housing levy, and other taxes that are known, and you've not even taken a loan, you take home 18,000 shillings. And somebody earning 50,000 in Kenya today is seen to be somebody seriously working for an institution. Now, if those are the taxes that you want the people of Kenya to bear, that person will not have any savings, because the 18,000 will go to basics such as food, and to keep yourself clean. That is soap and so forth, and toothpaste. So in other words, what we are talking about, we are taking a very serious matter and trivializing it as if it is something that is sustainable. It is not sustainable, and if I were to influence policy for any person taking power in the next election, is to remove housing levy completely and allow Kenyans to make a contribution according to the houses that they want to buy or build. I would also remove some of these involuntary taxation in terms of health care. Let me pay for the kind of health scheme that I'm comfortable with. By paying, let's say, $500,000, I may get a scheme that will take care of me given my age and my situation. And if somebody else can pay 10,000 and move to a certain scheme to take care of normal ailments like homa and so forth. So this issue of making it crude taxation, where people don't decide what to pay and where to pay, is something that I feel is archaic and is obsolete. What we need to do is to be fair. More important is that we should be able to move now to processing and industrialization so that that kind of income is more stable. I've told you South Africa, 60% of their taxes come from industry, and therefore they are more stable and they are likely to be here for many years to come. But when you are taxing individuals, you are just killing the person who is supposed to lay a golden egg.
The geese to lay the golden egg.
Yes.
All right. Very finally, sir, Trade and Investment Cabinet Secretary Salim Mvurya is on the receiving end, and this all thanks to his influence in expediting the appointment of now Managing Director, Kenya National Trading Corporation, Madam Anangwe. Remember, a while back, Madam Anangwe was adversely mentioned in the multi-billion edible oil scandal. But we've seen her getting this state appointment, a plum one at it. We are looking at a case of alleged impunity in public service. Does this appointment sort of rubber stamp how impunity is stinking to the high heavens? And this could also be an insult to Kenyans who are aware of the edible oil scandal.
You know, there is something that runs through any appointee that President Ruto has appointed, except for one or two cases. You have to have a scandal. You have to have a case in court for you to qualify to be appointed.
That is the yardstick?
That's the yardstick, because he himself believes in scandals, because he does not believe that you can plant your maize, harvest, and get rich. He believes that you must do something on the processional way, and you make money. You just go to Ngong Forest, you give to pipeline, and you get 292 million. You are taken to court, you are acquitted because of lack of evidence, and 292 million has been removed from a parastatal. So, Madam Anangwe, I don't know.
Let me hold you at that first. Why would you say that he only believes in scandals, yet at the same time, he's trying to empower graft-fighting institutions like ESCC, not just in their capitation, but also in literally talking big about the need for us to tame graft?
Well, for him, he uses it, he weaponizes it, so that those of us who are not with him, we get scared, and we don't even talk anything about it. So please,
really,
mutuaje tu hivyo. Yeah.
But on this scandal, edible oil scandals, on the face of it, for Kenyans...
It's unfortunate that she should have even been taken to another place. She should have even been taken to another place so that we are not reminded of oil scandal, which was said, it was not only a scandal in terms of costing to the taxpayer, but in terms of it being poisoned. And it disappeared. We don't know where that oil went, and we don't know why. You sacked one of the officers who was the MD at that time, Pamela Mutua. Now you are bringing somebody who was part of the team. And you are saying this one is clean because she has been sanitized through a process that we do not know.
Just like it has been said, Caesar's wife must be beyond reproach.
Yeah.
You don't think the president subscribes to that?
Well, possibly in another form, not the one that I know.
You've served this country as a minister at some point. Does it mean that even as a minister, you do not have a free hand to apply yourself and call out the president and say, this nominee cannot hold office because of this and that? And if that's the case, then I better resign than have someone on my team who has embedded impunity in their service.
Who appointed her? Because you see, if it is the president, then Mvurya has no way of saying no. Because I've seen even directors of boards, which used to be appointed by ministers, now it is appointed by the office of the president, which is really the opposite of what should be done. That's why the other day I was telling you, government printer was removed from Ministry of Interior, taken to the office of the president, and I suspect the machine might be in State House.
Not to advance public service delivery, rather private interests.
And private interests, what else can you deliver? What else can you deliver when you are a government that does not believe that integrity matters? It is loyalty and being compromised in one way or the other so that you have no voice to raise when you are given a job.
So finally, this government cannot deliver Singapore for us because it has sold us that idea that we are heading there.
Well, let them give us their vision and we'll take advantage of time and do a scrutiny. Because which one is more superior? This one or Vision 2030?
For Singapore?
I don't know. Singapore, I don't know.
The Singapore of Africa.
Well, it's one of the 1,000 promises that he has made. Yeah. How many projects has he launched?
But Kaluma believes people like you are doubting Thomas's. You don't want to grant the president the grace of time. Let me stop it at that. Let's cross over to Heroes Corner segment with Honorable Kipruto Arap Kiru, a segment whereby we extend our debt of gratitude to personalities who believe have made tremendous impact, not just in Kenya, but Africa and also the world at large, and just trying to ensure that humanity gets another meaning better than the one that has been there before. Kipruto Arap Kiru, who is our Shujaa today on Heroes Corner?
Well, a boy was born 1947 in Kitui County. By then it was Kitui District. He went to school, local, and various schools, including the University of Nairobi, University of Dar es Salaam, and other universities abroad.
Real credentials to
Yeah, culminating in him being Dr. Willy Mutunga. He became a serious member of the Law Society of Kenya, and he was part of our civil society in the struggle for liberation. I remember in the run-up to the NAC election of 2002, he played a greater role in terms of coordinating activities that was able to funnel out the vision and the mission that we saw in trying to bring Kenya back to the people. Dr. Willy Mutunga, of course, later on became our Chief Justice, was able to do a lot of transformation in terms of structural and financial management of the institution called the judiciary. He retired, and now an old man in Kitui, but quite often you meet him in Nairobi.
And he's still big on the fight for democracy in Kenya and human rights.
Yes, that's why I was telling Mutuse the other day to hand over the certificate from the university and also the diploma from School of Law, because it's an embarrassment to the legal system, the legal profession. And he's a man who once in a while is able to make a position that is respected by many Kenyans. That is Dr. Willy Mutunga.
As a country, do you feel we owe much to Dr. Willy Mutunga? Especially at a time whereby the judiciary is being accused of being juris pesa. Judiciary held captive by the powers that be and also the place of money.
Well, he has done his part. We owe it to him. We appreciate. We thank God that we got somebody that has made a difference. Because as you've heard, and the late Margaret Thatcher used to say, the fact that you cannot do everything means you do nothing. The little you do will make a difference. He has made a difference in the history of this country. He has occupied that position honorably. And that is a respected position for a Kenyan that has made a difference in the lives of others.
A few days ago, Kenyans were big on the interwebs calling for Dr. Willy Mutunga to endorse himself for the presidential bid in 2027, saying they'll rally support behind him because they believe he's going to herald the change we so desire as Kenyans. Do you think he should sort of look into that endorsement from Kenyans?
Well, it is useful that Kenyans are able to express themselves. What I want to tell leaders, of the alternative opinion or the alternative view, like some of us, let us come together, let us process and see who among us will be the best person that the country will say, yes, we have gotten a team that can take us to the next phase. Akin to the NAC situation that we started as many leaders, but we ended up with one Mwai Kibaki.
Well, there you have it. History will be kind to CJ Emeritus William Mutunga, and Minister says he won't just have a footnote, but an entire chapter when the history will be written, right?
Yeah, chapter and a half.
Chapter and a half.
Yeah.
And Mutuse?
Mutuse is lucky to have a footnote in the wrong book.
I have to leave it at that before it spirals out of place.
Yeah.
Until we get to do this again on Richard Mwenja exclusive next week, do enjoy the rest of your viewing. Keep us engaged on our social media handles. I'm at Mwenja Richard on X and on TikTok. This conversation we had planned that it has much to do with the politics, but we've really gone big on the economic front. But remember, the second edition is coming up with Honorable Kipsharab Kiro, whereby we bring in home what is happening in Kenya's politics. Until then, stay tuned.